All right, everyone, we can go ahead and get started here. Once again, thank you so much for hopping on and joining our SkySlope Masterclass. Today, we're going to talk about our SkySlope Forms tool, and we'll cover some tips and tricks. So these are just going to be a couple of additional things available within Forms to make your workflow that much easier. Also, a few things that we don't typically cover in our basic trainings. So we are here to make you the SkySlope expert. My name is Kira. I'm a part of the learning and development team here at SkySlope, and today I'll be your tour guide. So we'll go ahead and break down what we'll cover here during today's session. We'll go ahead and start off with that user profile. We'll cover reusable templates before we circle back around and talk about some additional shortcuts as you're filling out and preparing these forms. Now, we know that user profile is really what we first direct you to complete when starting your forms process. Now, this is going to allow for a lot of autofill opportunities. So we'll just go ahead and cover this section once again as a nice little refresher before we move on into those reusable templates. Now, again, templates, a lot of people think about this word as the mapping and coding of these documents within your SkySlope forms. Now, that's actually not what we're referring to here when we talk about templates. That is actually going to be the grouping of forms that I would like to have on hand, ready to go when I have a client on the line. Last but not least, those shortcuts are going to include things like how to download or print out documents. Maybe you have more of an old school client and they'd appreciate a little bit more one-on-one time with you in a listing appointment. This way, you can go ahead and print out those documents, bring them with you, really accommodate all of those different scenarios. So with that, I'll go ahead and hop out of my presentation here and dive into my demo account. Now, today's session, I will be using an agent demo account, but my admin and brokers on the call here today, everything that I touch on, you will have access to as well. Now I'm starting here within my brokerage's main transaction management tool. And of course, I will toggle into my apps by clicking on that apps menu and jumping right into forms. It'll go ahead and bring me to my home base. Now, one thing I also want to clarify is the account that I'm using here today does have broker edition enabled. So if you see a feature here that you like or you feel would be of value to your agents or your team, go ahead and reach out to us. I'll be able to post that link at the end of our session here. We'll take roughly about 10 minutes to cover our content, but I'll go ahead and drop that link so that if you would like to add some additional features here within Forms, you're able to do so. Now, those features are going to include things like TC access or Teams access. We also have reusable templates that the brokerage can create on behalf of their agents, along with building out a brokerage library. So here, when we dive in and talk about those templates, you'll see those features already enabled within this account, but I will highlight what you have access to currently and what we will go ahead and consider an additional feature. Now, to get us started, the first thing I'm going to do is access that user profile. Now, I always like to cover the user profile simply because this is a great time saver. Any matching field as you're filling out and moving through your forms process will auto-populate with the information that you provide. So here you can see I've got this organized using these two tabs. Here within my profile, I've got my personal information ready to go. You'll notice my agent license number here, MLS code. And I also have what regions I service. So I always like to highlight this section here, especially for my multi-state agents. Very doable within forms to work different locations. Keep in mind, this is a demo account. So I'm a little bit all over the place here. Typically, you would see bordering states in this area, but it does really allow you that flexibility to access documents from different associations. Now, as I scroll on down a bit lower, I'll notice my brokerage information. This is great to pre-fill since this is not going to change regardless of the property file that I'm working on. Taking a step back, associations. Once again, if you are providing additional locations, you'll also be able to access other libraries using that tab associations up at the top of your screen. Here, I can go ahead and search for an association. Again, I happen to be in a demo environment, so you'll notice that I have a lot of different options. Simply select whatever board or province that you service, and it will request your typical login credentials, whether that's your NRDS ID, your license number, what have you. So you'll provide that in order to add and connect to your local associations. Now you'll want to compile this list first. This is a great first step to complete out that user profile and make sure you're connected to the right boards. The reason you'll want to do this in advance is so that when you do take advantage of that amazing template shortcut, you'll have all of the forms that you'll need on hand. So let's go ahead and switch over to templates now. Now here you can see I've got personal templates. Now this is going to be a great example of one of those additional features included with Broker Edition. So my admin and brokers on the call here today, if you're looking to customize forms a little bit further for your team, you have the ability to set up brokerage templates. Very straightforward. You're simply grouping together forms that you would like your team to have on hand. So let's get into some of those tips and tricks relevant to templates. Now, first, you do not need to create a brand new template every time. You simply do not need to start from scratch. You actually have an action menu on the right-hand side of each template. Here, I have the ability to edit. So this gives me the option to add forms or remove. I can change whether that template is relevant to a seller or a buyer. And I also have the option to duplicate. So this is a great one if I need that head start. It gives you a good opportunity here to really cater these shortcuts accordingly. So if you have a standard listing, go ahead and create that standard listing template, and then you can actually duplicate that listing template and add any additional forms. So another good example, if I'm listing a condo, I might have some additional disclosures that I want to go out within that first initial envelope, including, let's say, HOA information, that sort of thing. Then I can always duplicate that initial listing template and then add those additional forms needed. I, of course, can also delete. So this personal templates area is very much designed for you to create personal shortcuts. Now, another great option, if your brokerage does choose to take part in Broker Edition and creates these brokerage templates for you. Now you have the same options. Here, if my brokerage creates a brokerage template for me, I always have the opportunity to duplicate. So again, this is a great time saver. I'll go ahead and duplicate this here for us now. And you'll see it gives me the ability to edit this now on a more personal level. So again, for example, this is a great packet of forms to have together for a new listing. This one happens to be for a business listing agreement. But let's say I'd also like to add in an additional form. Here, I can go ahead and scroll through that forms collection. Again, that is why we are really connecting to the correct libraries first. So when we come in and play around with this shortcut feature, when I drop those libraries down, I am just, of course, seeing the ones that I am going to need. Again, my broker and admin on the call, if you're interested in uploading, or I should say, having us host your brokerage library, so any brokerage specific documents, you can easily have that enabled within your forms tool, and it allows your agent to then select your brokerage library and include these forms in any of these templates, or of course, send out for signature. So for example, this is going to be a listing form that I need. I'll go ahead and add. Let's go ahead and add one more demo form. I can actually bring this little pancake up and take a look at the two documents that I've added. So this is going to make it really easy for me to continue my progress and hit continue. Now here within my template, I can now see that those forms have been added, and I can also cater the order. So if I would like that listing agreement to come first, I can go ahead and do so and list the other forms underneath in the order that I would like my client to receive them. I also have the option to upload a document. So if you have anything sitting on your personal desktop that you would like to include within this template, I definitely recommend feel free to upload that now. So I know I have a demo form. Perfect. There we go. I'll go ahead and select and hit open. This will go ahead and upload here right within my template. So guys, keep in mind, if you upload documents into your reusable templates, you simply do not need to upload them each time you have a property where that's relevant. However, you'll notice that if the form is uploaded, it will not come with these fillable fields. So even though this is a brokerage form, because my brokerage opted into us hosting as SkySlope, those forms here within a brokerage library will go ahead and map them out so that they are all fillable. However, if it is an uploaded document, you'll notice that again, those blue fields will not be present. However, I can add text fields from within DigiSign. So I'll go ahead and save my template here. That is ready to go. And let's go ahead and use that template within a property file. I'll bring myself right on back to my in progress files. And let's go ahead and create new. Here, once again, you'll notice I have the ability to toggle around who I would like to create this file for. Now, this here is going to be a great example of that Teams access or that file sharing access that comes in that Broker Edition add-on. So this here will be an additional feature. For those of you who do not have Broker Edition enabled, it'll go ahead and start here with who is the client. Now you'll also notice when I create reusable templates, that representation is the first question it asks. Simply because if I select seller and scroll down, I can see that my templates for sellers will appear. It helps us really filter out those different template options. However, if I select buyer and then scroll down once again, you'll notice that I now have a buyer template instead. So keep that in mind when building out those reusable templates. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the template we were just playing around with. So I'll come back up at the top and select seller. Once again, scroll on down. This is that same demo collection of forms. Feel free to use this little eyeball here to preview the forms included in this template. If that looks good, you'll select that template using the checkbox. I'll scroll on down to the bottom here and click create. Oh, let's go ahead and provide some information first. I'm getting ahead of myself. And we'll go ahead and do this here. We'll give ourselves just a quick property address. There we are. So now we'll go ahead and create that file. Now that I have my forms added to this file here, once again, I have the ability to select these documents. And you'll notice an action menu appears down below. This will give you the opportunity to print or download these forms. Now, I like to highlight as well from this page here, it'll simply include your client's basic information captured when creating that property file. However, you also have the option to click fill and send. I, of course, am now presented with those blue fields. I can scroll right on through, completing out these documents as I would like to see them. And go ahead and add the listing price here. All right. And I also have the ability, of course, to import MLS data. So it's another great shortcut available for you here within Forms. Now, before I move forward, here on this Forms fillable page, you'll notice once again, I have the option to print and download. So if you would simply like to fill out these forms using SkySlope Forms, but you would like to send them through a different e-signature tool, this is going to be your opportunity to do so. Or, of course, if your clients prefer to sign this at a listing agreement, once again, feel free to go ahead and print, bring them with you. Now, one last thing to point out here before we wrap up, at the bottom, you'll notice I have a save as a template or save and exit. So I just like to clarify here, you actually have the ability to use this shortcut to create templates off of in-progress files. So if I am moving through, I notice that this is a lot of repetitive information. I enter this in on really every property that I work with. Go ahead and save that collection of forms as a template. It'll save all of that pre-filled information, and you can really keep that 80-20 rule in mind. Here at SkySlope, we like to say if you are entering the same information in over and over, 80% of the time or more, go ahead and include that in your reusable template. If 20% of the time you notice that information needs to be changed, you're already eliminating a ton of time spent here working with your forms. Of course, if you notice 80% of the time that information is different or changes depending on that property type, we advise to go ahead and leave that blank and fill it when you have a property in the works. So you guys can go ahead and utilize that shortcut here with creating those reusable templates, save yourself that time. Or of course, if you happen to get a phone call from a client and you must step away, you always have the option to save and exit. This will go ahead and save that progress here in an in-progress envelope. So you can always click right back in and resume any progress right where you left off. All right, guys. Well, once again, we like to keep these master classes nice, short, and sweet. So we are just at our 15-minute mark. I'll go ahead and bring my slideshow back up front here for us and pose a quick challenge. Now that we've had a chance to really talk about those 3 different time savers, that reusable profile there, making sure all of your associations are connected correctly, and then, of course, those reusable templates. Keep that 80-20 rule in mind, and, of course, those additional shortcuts that we covered while filling out these documents. So you've got plenty of these to choose from here, and I challenge you, when you do hop off and jump back into your forms tool of your own, try out one of these time savers. Of course, let us know your feedback. SkySlope is always looking to learn and grow. So utilize that support team there, chat in if there's anything else that you would like to see here within SkySlope forms. So with that, guys, if you do have any questions, I'll go ahead and hang out for a few extra minutes, ensure that those questions get answered. But if you are feeling good, feel free to hop off, enjoy the rest of your day. And of course, happy sky sloping.